Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We are thrilled to be here today. We got some stories that, again, a couple of days ago, on Monday, was it Monday? Tuesday is when it was. I did an interview with my friend Francie Dupree about education, and this is just the week for education. Because we're gonna talk a little bit about the teacher strike in Los Angeles Unified School District, and they're asking for more money because that's what teachers normally strike for. They never strike because they're mad that elementary kids don't come in knowing their multiplication tables or their alphabet. They always strike because they are under the impression that more money to them is a better deal. And I wondered immediately, let's check that out. So we'll talk about that. President Trump has still not been indicted. General Lisa Franco is still dead. For those of you who were from SNL in the day, you guys kind of remember that bit, right? From Weekend Update. The president has still not been indicted. And it looks like they're taking today off, and they don't meet on Friday. So it won't be this week. Now, that doesn't mean that you haul ass up there to New York. Stay put. Keep your powder dry, as they say. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this works out. So a little bit about that. And is Governor DeSantis running for president? Is Governor DeSantis running for president? I'm going to talk a little bit about one of his last comments. And we'll see. Again, I've expressed to you many times, I hope not. I would much rather have him as my governor. And I'd much rather have people understand the importance of governors over the importance of presidents. Sort of like it used to be. Like it needs to be now. In any case, I'm going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. Welcome back. We appreciate you being here. We do. I have a problem with public employees, government workers going on, first of all, unionizing and then going on strike, which means that a service that is being paid for by the taxpayers that you can't get out of is not being offered, but you're paying for it anyway. You see how and why I have a problem with that. So when subway people go on strike, or the garbage people go on strike, or teachers go on strike, the person that the people they're striking against, it's not the school board, it's not the city council, it's not the town council. It's the people, it's the taxpayers they're going on strike against, not some major corporation, not some major corporation and the board of directors and the stockholders. It's their neighbors. So when teachers go on strike, their neighbors' kids don't get to go to school. Something that their neighbors are paying for. You see why I have a problem with it to start with? I have a big problem to start with about all that stuff. The Los Angeles Independent School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho first shared a statement about the strike on Twitter Monday evening. Here's what he said. Get my mouse happening. We do not need to debate or litigate the fact that during this pandemic, kids lost a lot of ground. They did. They did. And I'm not worried about high school kids. My concern were second and third graders. So much happens in third grade. So much happens at the age of 8. That these, even with online, uh, Zoom or Microsoft Teams, or Canvas, or whatever they were doing, doesn't really play out all that well when they're 8. And you know who lost the most? Children of color. I love to use that phrase they use. They lost the most. They were the most behind, and they lost the most. Reading and math proficiency were hit especially hard, particularly who were kids of English or English learners, ESOL kids, English second English is the second language for them. Spend a year and a half not going to school, or 2 years not going to school. It's insane. And my sadness is that we'll be dealing with that group of students throughout. But the teachers in Los Angeles Unified School District have made it worse. They've extended. They're trying to extend that group of kids who are struggling, kids who are in poverty, kids with disabilities. They can't afford to be out of school, and that's why this is what the superintendent said. That's why I'm appealing directly to the union leadership to engage and negotiate in good faith and find a solution that addresses the needs of all, including our students. Reportedly, Carvalho counter proposal from the school district included a 23% recurring increase and a 3% cash in hand bonus. 23% recurring increase in salary. Now, I don't know if you do math or arithmetic, but 23%, a 23% increase is substantial, I think. Don't you? Don't you think a 23% increase in salary is substantial? I kind of do. Well, the question that you have to ask is this: 23% of what? Gotcha. Well, let's look. If I do this right, now, those of you who are watching the video, if I do this right, you'll see the chart behind me or something. If I don't do it right, just listen along like the people who are listening on the podcast. I pulled up the 2022, 2023 salaries for teachers with regular credentials for the Los Angeles Unified School District. Let's see, in the upper left-hand box, first year, minimum points, If you have more points, and I guess that is schooling, whatever. Um, Minimum points. The salary is 56,107. $56,107. Now, no, you are not going to Disneyland every weekend. You are not. You are not flying your private jet around. You are not. Not on 56 grand. Not on 56 grand anywhere in the country. Anywhere. Not in California or Colorado or Arkansas. Arkansas is a pretty cheap place to live. But for 56 grand, you're not doing that every weekend. You're not. Starting salary. They just turned down an increase of 23%. That's an extra $12,000. For this person, an extra $12,000. Teacher said no. So that salary would have gone from 56,107 to 69,000, almost $70,000 to start. And they said no. F them kids. That's what they said. You pardon me, but that's what they said. Screw them kids. It's incredible. The New York Times noted that the strike will last 3 days this week, impacting hundreds of thousands of students. During the strike, families are able to pick up 6 grab-and-go meals for each student to cover breakfast and lunch for 3 days. Because that's one of the things that happens, especially in LA, is that they've decided that if the kids don't go to school, they don't eat. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day, says the people who make breakfast food. So this whole school breakfast program, and it's nonsensical on its face, but they feed the kids. Students will also have access to material online. Didn't we just go through that? Didn't we just figure out that doesn't work pretty much at all? Not even for the kids who do well. I talked to them. They hated it. They didn't feel like they learned anything. In total, the school district serves over 500,000 students. Absenteeism is already a problem. You spend a couple of years, you spend almost 3 years not going to school, getting back into the groove, getting back into the groove of it, very, very difficult. And absenteeism, especially with those kids who are low income, it's always been a problem. It's a problem where I live. The low income kids, for whatever reason, don't come to school. A lot of times it's because in their homes, education, especially formal education, is not a priority. Thus that's a bigger problem than a teacher who made 56 grand now making 69 grand. That doesn't fix that problem. It doesn't. Freedom Foundation CEO Aaron Wolf called the strike unconscionable and pointed out that hundreds of thousands of teachers have quit. Hundreds of thousands of teachers have quit teachers unions since the onset of the pandemic. More than 140,000 teachers have quit the National Teachers Union since COVID shutdowns began, and it's easy to see why. They're sick of the teachers unions politicizing the classrooms. And the LA teachers strike is another example of teachers unions putting politics before children. when the LA parents were desperate to get their kids back in the classroom. Um, United Teachers Los Angeles president Cicely Martez Cruz famously said, "It's okay that our babies may not have learned all of their times tables. They learned resilience." After seeing what COVID school shutdowns have done to our kids, it's unconscionable that the same teachers union president is calling another strike because she wants green schools and a focus on emotional learning. Strikes began in several parts of the country last fall ahead of the 2022-23 school year over issues like air conditioning and teacher salaries. All this, though the federal government allocated billions of dollars throughout the pandemic for schools to rectify these issues. And children suffered historic learning loss during the lockdowns, where they missed out on months of in-person learning. According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, math and reading scores among 9-year-olds, what did I tell you? Third, fourth grade, second, third, fourth grade, super important, fell across all race and income levels in the past 2 years. They were significantly worse among low-ranking students, the kids who were already struggling. And what my job was in the school system was to work with the kids who were struggling. I would tell people that I work at, so and so school, and they go, "Oh, my nephew goes there." So what department you work in? I said, "I work in the math department." And they're like, "Oh, you must know so and so." So what math? I would go, "So what class did he take?" "Oh, he's really smart. He was in trigonometry." I'm like, not my trigonometry, not my kid. Yeah, if you're saying that he was struggling to stay in high school, I probably know who that is, because them is one of my people. Uh, kids who were struggling. In other words, students who were falling behind in school before the pandemic were now even behind more. Yes, students in the 90th percentile um, showed a 3% drop in math scores. 3%. And those were the smart kids, the 90th percentile. While the kids in the 10th percentile, the bottom 10, fell 12 points. Average 9-year-old scores declined the most on record for math, 7 points. And in reading, since 1990, 5 points. In response to the numbers, National Center for Education Statistics Commissioner Peggy Carr said that school shootings, violence, and classroom disruptions are up, as are teacher and staff vacancies, absenteeism, cyberbullying, and students' use of mental health services. In response to the numbers, she did not acknowledge how students not attending in-person school because they, one more time, school districts never self-indict. They never say what we decided to do didn't work. In September, a separate report showed that the Los Angeles Unified School District saw sharp drop-offs in proficiency among students in nearly every grade level in both English and math. And these people are going on strike. Are you kidding? Now? Now? And I see these signs. And these are just some class war. This is some class warfare signs. LAUSD's reserve is $4.9 billion, enough for Carvello, again, the superintendent, new potty, but not enough to fund schools. Now, when they say fund schools, this is clever language. Actually, not that clever. They want to make people think that the school isn't getting any money, when the idea is they want to get money. Next sign I see, excuse me, livable wages are a need, not a want. livable wages. The last proposal said, hey, how about 23% recurring? 23% this year, 23% this year. That turns into real money immediately. When you're talking about the second largest school district in the country, 56,000 to 69,000 in a year. Yeah, the tax man is like, yes, give them more money. I mean, come on. The tax man is like, you give them more money for me. Right? It's incredible. And I'm going to say it, and this is not going to make people happy because this is an unpopular opinion. Teachers are the most entitled group of people since nurses. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Welcome back to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, FightBackMedia.com, and FightBackMediaTV.com. We appreciate you being here. Well, it is Thursday morning, and the President Trump has not been indicted yet. That picture of him, that the left wanted so badly, of Trump in an orange jumpsuit being frog marched into the, into the courthouse, the jailhouse, handcuffed behind his back, has not happened. The New York City grand jury considering an indictment against President Donald Trump will not meet for a second day after abruptly adjourning yesterday. A Manhattan grand jury will not hear testimony, deliberate, or vote on the hush money case against the former president Thursday or today. Fox News reported Thursday morning. Since the grand jury does not sit on Fridays, a vote on Trump's case is not expected this week, according to the source. The decision comes after reports that there is turmoil inside the office of the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, and severe disagreement about bringing an indictment against the former president. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We don't know. Meanwhile, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is demanding Bragg testify on Capitol Hill about his politically charged crusade against Trump. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, a Republican from Ohio, just sent letters to former prosecutors Kerry Dunn and Mark Pomerantz demanding documents and testimony relating to the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority amid the reported impending indictment of former President Donald Trump. Jordan's office released today. Dunn and Pomerantz both resigned from their positions in the DA's office in January after Bragg's initial reluctance to move forward with charges against Trump. Since leaving the DA's office, Dunn and Pomerantz have publicly criticized Bragg for refusing to aggressively prosecute President Trump and have now opened a law firm to bring lawsuits to prevent Trump from holding future office. These people were out to get the president. Not everybody is down with this in that. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. My gut. Oh, you want my opinion? My gut? No. Now, how they back out of this should be clever. It should be interesting. And how media backs out of it should be even more clever. Will they just bring misdemeanor charges that won't require Trump to show up? They can still say they charged him. But there are people who get charged with crimes every day or infractions every day that do not require them to show up in court. They can send an attorney. Traffic court is a perfect example where people get, charged with some sort of traffic infraction, and they send an attorney. Because they're not required, they are personally not required to go, as long as they send a representative. You think this may be the case? How this works out? Probably. The plot thickens, my friends. The plot thickens. Will the United States become a third world banana republic, or have we already become a third world banana republic? We'll be back. Welcome back, my friends, to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. During you guys know that I'm a resident of the Sunshine State, and we got some sunshine out there today. It is 76 degrees and sunny. It's beautiful. It's going to be in the mid 80s today. Yeah, baby. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't, I've got a lot of dead leaves in my yard because we have oak trees, but I don't need the bright, shiny changing of sea. I don't. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Carolinas, Tennessee, uh, going to the Appalachian Mountains, in the fall, it's beautiful. Ohio, gorgeous, really pretty. I don't need that here. Uh, don't, because I can go visit it whenever I want, and I never do. But anyway, through COVID, especially through COVID, um, we found a lot of us found that we had a governor who was probably one of the best governors in the country, probably the best governor in the country at the time. Florida is not a small state. For those of you who don't know, not a small state. It's the third largest state in the union, um, and growing every day to the tune of about 1,000 people. Everybody and their mama coming, and you know what? And it isn't just because of the weather. We like to think of it because it's just the weather. No, that's not it. Florida isn't growing because of the sunshine, as former President Trump is saying. Florida's growing because of the sunshine. No, that's not it. Because frankly, you know, yeah, you move to somewhere nice, but unless you're super wealthy, you're not on vacation every day. You have to work. You have to live and work like a normal person to get a job like you had in New York, or you had in California, or you had in Tennessee, or you had in Ohio before you moved here, or Michigan. You're just escaping Gretchen, Gretchen Whitmer, or you're escaping Gavin Newsom, or you're escaping Kathy Hochul from New York. Um, you have to get here and work. You have to get here and drive around. You have to get here and figure out there's no subway system, and you have to get here and you have to figure out that it's different than where you came from. There is not extensive mass transit in Florida. There is not. There is not. And for some people, that's a deal breaker. If you're from California, you get it. You got to have a car. If you're from New York and you get here, what the hell? Where's it? Where's the trains? How do you get from place to place here? Everything's so far. New York people. I don't know exactly, right? Worst New York accent ever. But they don't come here because of the sunshine. They come here because Florida is a state that has said out loud, we care about your personal freedoms. And it was obvious during COVID, which is more obvious during COVID. We care about your personal freedoms. We care that parents, now the federal government, the House of Representatives finally, we care about parents having a say in their kids' education. So much, in fact, that we are going to make sure that that's codified in the Florida statutes, in the Florida law. We care about that. We care about your ability to open a business and run a business. We care about what happens to you. We care about you preserving your bodily autonomy and not being forced to take drugs that you don't want to take. And whether people like it or not, that has a certain appeal. So we saw DeSantis, the rise of DeSantis during this time. And a lot of us said, that dude is going to run for president, isn't it? And then at the very same voice, we're like, Akali, I hope not. And golly, I hope not was because we really like him being our governor. My son mentioned what we need to do in this country is get back to the place where governors were more important than presidents. Yeah. Now, this phrase will bother certain people because they've attached it to a thing. States' rights. States' rights. It is the state over the federal government. A state can decide to do this or that, which makes the executive officer of the state that is directly elected by the people to be more important than the president. Should get back to that. So in that case, we really just want Ron to stick around and be governor as long as he can be governor and not spend the last 2 years of his second term running for president. In a perfect world, I'd have just that. In a perfect world, Trump would still be president, and then he'd be waiting for Ron DeSantis to jump over the top rope and take over. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. So now, is Ron DeSantis going to run for president? A lot of people think so. Matt Vespa of Town Hall, you guys know Matt. He says this. He says, "No, I don't have any special knowledge, inside knowledge of that Ron DeSantis is definitely running for president. But yes, I have eyes and ears, and it's impossible not to conclude that that's his clear intention at this point, with a caveat in place that nothing is official until it is. I believe it's now totally defensible to call Florida governor presidential candidate in waiting. It's not just one stray. Washington Post story quoting various sources closer to DeSantis who say it's full steam ahead, and it's various actions and words of the man himself. His response to potential indictment of the Manhattan was crafted for maximum political effectiveness. And he's finally fielding and addressing direct questions about Trump. British television host Piers Morgan sat down with the Florida governor, and rather than deflecting inquiries pertaining to the former president, as he has done generally so far, DeSantis took them on. And this is from the New York Post. In an exclusive, wide-ranging interview with me airing on Fox Nation's Piers Morgan Uncensored on Thursday, he said, "Stay tuned about a widely expected announcement that he's running for president, and declared, I have what it takes to be president and can beat President Biden." But it's what he said about Trump that will ignite a firestorm in the Republican Party. For months, DeSantis has said nothing as Trump has escalated his verbal attacks, branding him as his ex-protege, Ron DeSanctimonious, and Meatball Ron. This is Trump's thing, to try to belittle people. I don't know if this worked. I don't know if that tactic works with these two. It was clear that the governor has enough of Trump's constant baiting and felt ready to take him on, but in what could end up in a ferocious battle for the White House. And in a series of jabs at likely his biggest rival for the Republican nomination, DeSantis slammed Trump over his character failings, chaotic leadership style, and his handling of COVID pandemic, especially in keeping controversial health chief Dr. Anthony Fauci in his post. Here's what DeSantis said. Well, I think when asked the difference between him and Trump, I think there's a few things. The approach to COVID was different. And let me stop with the DeSantis quote and do some interjection here. I heard Governor DeSantis be asked what's the biggest mistake he made. And the biggest mistake he made was not opening sooner. And he said that because he had to stay close because he didn't have all the information. He didn't have all the data. there wasn't much data, and he was feverishly gathering data. But as soon as they had the data, you saw what Florida did, right? Anyway, he said the approach to COVID was different. I would have fired someone like Fauci. I think he got way too big for his britches and did a lot of damage. Boy, that is true. As it turned out, that's true. Governor DeSantis has the advantage of hindsight, no doubt. But what he's saying isn't. I mean, it isn't that it isn't true. DeSantis also. I don't know if he slammed it, but he talks about it. I also think that in terms of my approach to leadership, I get personnel in the government who have the agenda of the people and share our agenda. You bring your own agenda in, you're gone. We're just not going to have that. So the way we run government, I think, is no daily drama, focus on the big picture, and put points on the board. And that's something that's very important. Let me, one more time. No daily drama, focus on the big picture, and put points on the board. And if you've lived in Florida, that's what's happened. Now, whether you like what he's done or not is absolutely immaterial to this statement. There isn't any daily intrigue and drama going on in the DeSantis administration in Tallahassee. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody moves forward. Put points on the board. It's a win. The names. As for the rude nicknames he mocked, I don't know how to spell the sanctimonious one. I don't really know what it means, but I kind of like it. It's long and it's got like a lot of vowels. We'll go with that. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can call me whatever you want, just as long as you call me a winner, because that's what we've been able to do in Florida. High five, bro. It puts a lot of points on the board, and it really takes the state to the next level. Until now, DeSantis has never engaged with any of Trump's regular attempts to provoke him and doesn't intend to make a habit of it. To me, it's just background noise, he said. It's not important for me to be fighting with people on social media. It's not accomplishing anything for the people I represent. So we really just focus on knocking out victories day after day. And if I got involved in all the undertow, I would not be able to be an effective governor. So I don't think it's something that makes sense for me. Yes. That. No. I guess I'm putting a hole in the boat of this channel at this point at 515 subscribers. But I'm going to say it because somebody in a comment said for me to go ahead and be real. When people are saying we need someone to act presidential, that's what that is. That's what that is. Is Ron DeSantis running for president? Golly, I hope not. But you better hope he does. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.